And so here we are. We are at the end. Um, I want to spend a few minutes talking to you today a little bit about reflecting on what this course means or what it means to study the humanities in general. Um, and we're going to play a little bit with the word human and think about its various meanings. When I was when I first taught this course, it was the year 2020. I've been teaching for a long time. I'd never tried teaching humanities before, but I mostly teach writing, and I wanted to expand a little bit, see what else was out there. So I took on teaching a humanities course, and when I did so, I picked a theme to teach the course around, and the theme I picked was the apocalypse. I've got some background in apocalyptic studies. I've done some writing on it and a lot of reading and studying on it. So I decided to design the course around the apocalypse, kind of like this semester we designed it around food. I just picked a whole bunch of apocalyptic texts and we talked about studying the humanities. It was a great course. We had a lot of fun. We watched some movies, we listened to music, we were doing all different kinds of things in the course. And then March of 2020 hit, and we entered into a kind of apocalypse, or at least an apocalyptic like situation where the entire society shut down. You may have remembered that. That happened just a couple of years ago. Well, when this happened, this great course that I and the students were in moved from being live in person and moved to online. And then I couldn't see my students, and we had to figure out how to do this online now. And we had to run our projects, run the exams, and get to the end of the semester. It was pretty stressful. Not as much fun as it had been before, up until that point. In this course, we had projects just like we do in this semester. The projects were a little bit different. I had one that was a creative project where students could produce what they wanted to produce as long as they did a creative take on the humanities. And at the end of the semester, I had a student named Harper Vandenbosch who created a song for the course. And I'll play that song for you now a little bit. It's not going to sound great because I'm doing it through a recording and through my phone, and so I don't have any way. I don't know how to edit music in. But here it comes. Here comes the song.
A flood came and washed it all away. We're getting clean, they say. The second coming of Christ is on its way. We're getting saved today. All the things we do to show our fears, the meaning never looks so clear. Who knew the end would be so near? What does it mean to be human? What does it mean? Men came and took you through the night.
The song was amazing. Harper created the entire song, the lyrics, the music. She played the guitar. She did the mixing. It's an amazing song, and you can imagine uh, maybe getting that song at the end of a semester, one of the most difficult semesters I've ever taught, and getting that song in a project from a student. It blew me on my butt. I just teared up and couldn't believe that somebody could produce something so beautiful in such a weird time. Harper is graduated from Henry Ford College, moved on to the university, and she did great work while she was here. But this was a student at Henry Ford producing this amazing little song. the picture you see on the cover here is from the Detroit Movement Festival in 2019. The Detroit Movement Festival had to go on hiatus a couple years as well because of COVID, but it's this amazing party of electronic music in downtown in Hart Plaza. Harper asks a central question: what does it mean to be human? And frankly, I don't know many other questions that we ask ourselves in life or in our experiences that are more meaningful than what does it mean to be human. That question determines, I think, for us what what we believe in, how we act, what we produce, what we consume. What does it mean to be human sets us up with a foundational way of understanding or trying to understand the world around us. And of course, we can ask that in multiple ways. I feel like I'm human. Do I know if you're human? Uh, what does it mean for a person of this race or this nationality or this experience, this class level, this gender to call themselves human? And what does it mean for somebody else to call themselves human? The question of what it means to be human is the foundational question of our experience. These photos you see on the screen were done by a photographer who took thousands of photos of people's bust kind of presentation, their face and their shoulders. And they're just kind of amazing to look at. Her name is Angelica Das, and this is a project called Humane. Uh, and you can go to her website. You can see the address down below and just take a look at all the different faces she captured, all the different people who call themselves human. This question of what it means to be human does bring us to a question of what should we do as humans? And that question takes us to the topic that we're looking at this week in our class, which is humanitarianism. What does it mean to act for others, to care for others, to protect others, to feed others, to make sure others are safe? We looked at some examples of that this week, some humanitarianism. The two paintings you see here, the first is from a series of paintings called Baptism of the Concrete Estuary. Um, and I've neglected to get the name of the artist. But this series of paintings took the moment from March 11th, 2011, when there was a terrible earthquake in Japan that killed 16,000 people and uh, disrupted the lives of 500,000 more. Um, and he memorialized some of that. This painting is of a city after an earthquake. And the painting on the right is from the stories of the Lost Boys in Sudan, where the Sudanese civil war brought children into the battle. Boys were given guns and told to go fight. And this was one person who was living in Sudan who made this painting. There's no name or title for this painting. Our humanitarian impulse makes us ask, okay, what does it mean to be human? Well, maybe one thing that it means is that we have to protect each other because everybody has that human experience, and everybody's lives is equally valuable. And if you're living a life where you have the things that you need, where you are protected and safe, then maybe you have a responsibility to go out and provide for other people, to make sure other people are safe. Asking the question, what does it mean to be human, might lead us to be a humanitarian. We might also need to think about what is humanity. So we have a human, that's an individual, a person who lives a life, but a humanity is the commonality of the human experience. And this gets us into a little more philosophical idea. Is there a commonality in human experience? And can we say that a person who lived in 1542 it had a human experience similar to a person who's living in 2023? Can we say that a man has a similar experience to a woman who has a similar experience to somebody who is transgendered? Can we say that a black person, a black child, has a similar experience to a white child? Those similarities, those things that we experience together, are our humanity. And while we might have concrete experiences that are very different, the amount of food we have on our table, the type of clothes we wear, the types of arts that we appreciate, while those experiences might be very different from year to year, from gender to gender, from race to race, from nation to nation, the basic experience of a lived body in the world trying to get through from the start to the finish is what humanity is. And when we ask, what does it mean to be human, we are in part asking, what is humanity? What is the what are the values and the beliefs and the appreciations and the arts of humanity, and why do they matter? The painting you see before you is part of the mural from Diego Rivera and the Detroit Institute of Arts. And if you have never been, you should go. Henry Ford College is, what, 5 miles from the Detroit Institute of Arts, and there's an amazing collection of art in that museum. One of the parts of the collection is the mural room for Diego Rivera that has the Detroit industry murals, and this is one of the sections of that mural. You can see that Diego Rivera spent some time thinking about the meaning of humanity, particularly within the industrial location of Detroit. If we spend a lot of time thinking about humanity, we might start to build a sense of what our rules or our ethics or our beliefs are, and why they center on humanity. And once we start to do that, we might start to say that those beliefs or ethics or rules or feelings that we have about humanity form a type of creed, a belief system, a humanism. Now, some people will say that humanism is a religion. Others will say it's just a way of thinking or experiencing. Uh, what what I would say is that humanism a practice that people have of privileging human experience as a way of understanding the nature of reality, as opposed to coming from a religious text or a God who says this is what reality is. You start with human experience because that's all you have. And from that, you start to build your beliefs, part of which may be a religion, a God. Maybe that comes out of your human experience. But humanism starts with human experience and says that's what's meaningful. The painting you see on the left there is, of course, um, Leonardo da Vinci's uh, Vitruvian Man, painted in 1487. In this piece of art from Da Vinci's journals, he's trying to figure out what are the what is the scope of drawing, creating a person, and it really is an art study here, where he's trying to figure out what are the angles, how do we best do this, but then it becomes kind of this fascinating statement about what it means to be a person. And here's an amazing thing: 1487. We're talking 550 years ago, and you could pretty much find a person that looks like this today. That this looks this the body has not changed. What it means to be human perhaps hasn't changed all that much, even with all of our technology. And maybe when we try to figure out how to compose a human, how to draw a human, how to recreate a human, how to make a human meaningful through our arts, we are still struggling with the basic ideas that Da Vinci was struggling with in this painting. A humanism is not something that tries to diminish other belief systems. A humanism is a belief that our meanings start with our personal experience, our individual experience, and they build from there. Humanism gives us a way to understand who we are and why we create. And of course, the humanities help us further understand that, help us further make our human experience meaningful, or perhaps they help us think about things in our human experience that we never would have thought of otherwise. I am certain through our course this semester, you have found one text or two texts that have made you think about the human experience differently than you ever had before. On the screen here, you'll see a few human experiences you could have in Detroit and the Detroit metro area. The Detroit Public Library, right across the street from the DIA, the Dearborn Institute, Detroit Institute of Arts. The libraries, we have a beautiful, amazing public library with beautiful, amazing books filled with books and art that relate to Detroit and the world. That is one of the places we go to understand the human condition when we read and study together. The Arab American National Museum, is in Dearborn on Ford Avenue. It's a beautiful museum that provides art and culture from the Arab American perspective, and it's really worth going down there and spending some time. It talks about the immigrant experience. It talks about the religious experience in American culture, how Arab religions have moved into American culture, Arab languages and Arab arts and Arab foods. It's well worth the experience of going there. Of course, Detroit is also known as a music city, uh, from Motown to hip hop, and we have produced a great many music stars. The article down here on the left hand side, the 20 best hip hop songs from Detroit, that's debatable, but it's a cool article to think about how Detroit has added to the music culture of our lives. And then, of course, the sculpture Spirit of Detroit down across the street from Hart Plaza near Joe Louis's Fist, which is maybe even a more amazing sculpture. The Spirit of Detroit is this piece that makes us ask, what is the nature of those of us who live here in Detroit? What is the humanity? The humanities forces us to experience each other's cultures and beliefs and ideas and religions and experiences through the things that we create. And we study the humanities so that we can understand those things that we create, so we can understand art, so we can understand art appreciation, um, so we can understand painting and draw and plays and sculpture and music and poetry and novels. The humanities provides us access to those cultural productions, but of course, at the very root, the humanities seek to answer the question, what does it mean to be human? And my hope is that you've started to ask those questions. There is a more straightforward way to teach the humanities, to teach different genres of production, to teach art appreciation, to teach criticism. But for me, the purposes here are always to ask you to consider, what does it mean to be human through the things that we create? I hope that's been a meaningful experience for you. As we look towards the end, the class wraps up at the end of this coming week. I forgot to put this on the due dates here. Everything is due by May 5th at 11:59 p.m. Anything that is not turned in by May 5th at 11:59 p.m. is not a part of the work that you've done for this class. You must realize this. You must see this and be prepared. It is not going to be May 7th, the Monday at 11:59 p.m. It is May 5th. To get you prepared, check out the final exam study guide that's on Moodle. It's actually going to be up later today, June, April 30th, but it'll be up tonight. And then check out that final exam study guide. It'll cover the materials that are going to be on the exam. We're going to go back to the last exam. Anything from the last exam up until today can be on that exam, might be on that exam, maybe will be on that exam. and then maybe some overall concepts of what the humanities are will be on the exam. The exam will be about the same level as the exam we took in the midterm, so it's not hard as long as you've done the work. Your final exam will be available from May 2nd at 12 p.m. in the middle of the afternoon to May 5th at 11:59 p.m. That's it, between those days, and you'll have to take it within those days. Once you open that exam, you will have 2 hours to complete the exam. Um, so you have to make sure you're taking it at a time when you are available to complete it, um, and that you're in a stable, technologically stable, quiet place where you can finish this exam. Your workshop for project number 2 ends on May 3rd at 11:59 p.m. We extended that into this week just to give you a little bit more time. I would like to see you take the work you did in the workshop and revise your work a little bit. Be prepared to think about it a little bit more. During the final week, there will be a module that will allow you to submit late journals or a late project if you need to, um, so that you don't have to go back to all the previous weeks and try to insert things in their proper places. You can submit them in this one module. And then there will be a final thoughts module where you can add a last comment on the class, on any of our texts, or any of our ideas, say goodbye, say good riddance, whatever you need to say, you can say that in the final thoughts module. And that will be the end of the class. Again, May 5th, 11:59 p.m. As you're wrapping up this week, I ask you to think about academic integrity and academic dishonesty. While being academically dishonest is a human act, and we have to understand that act, it is not one that leads to really great outcomes for people who work with academic dishonesty. So if you're on the exam, you run into a question you don't understand, don't go Google it. Don't try to AI it. Just try to figure it out yourself. And if you're writing your final project and you need to write a 2-page introduction, don't let some computer program write it for you, or don't let somebody else write it for you. Write your own work and act with integrity so that I can see the kind of human you are. Very last thing to wrap up here. This is the end of this course. If you've appreciated the way this course ran, I'm glad it's been a good experience for you. If you like studying in this way, which is a little bit disconnected, and I'm not sure I like studying in this way all the time, but it is useful for some students, I will be teaching 2 other courses that you may be interested in taking. In the summer, from May 9th to June 6th, I will be teaching Philosophy 130, the Introduction to Philosophy, where we go through philosophers from ancient times to today and ask what are some of the fundamental questions of philosophy. Incidentally, let me give you a spoiler alert. What does it mean to be human? What is a human is the primary question. You can sign up for those courses today. There's still seats available in those courses. I'll also be teaching Introduction to Philosophy online in the fall semester as well. And then I'm also teaching Introduction to Creative Writing this summer from May 9th to June 6th. That's a completely online, asynchronous course as well, but it's a really interesting course and hopefully fun, where people get to explore their creative writing voices. And we do a lot of different exercises. Again, no face-to-face because it's online, but we still get into some really great discussion boards in that class because of the creativity. That's the end of this class. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've gotten something out of it. I appreciate you as a human, and I appreciate you as a student. If you are on campus and you ever see me, just stop me and tell me who you are, how I know your name, and let's recognize each other's humanity. If you ever need anything, if you want have questions about attending school here or about future classes, if you have questions about what type of major or career, if there's anything academically you want to talk about, I am on campus almost every day during fall and winter semesters, and I'm always happy to talk. Have a great summer.